keep your eye on the pulse of the road and the future of flight. From viral trends to policy shifts, we cut through the traffic to bring you the stories that drive us. Your fast-track guide to everything on the move starts right now. From the Billionaire News Channel studio to Mellow 947 BFM, I'm Paolo del Rosario. This is Shift Happens. Joining me today is the motoring editor of Business World and the man behind Uncapped. Maceda, Aguila, one of my most favorite co-host as of today.
Okay.
Cap, great to have you here.
Well, great to have you back. Congratulations, by the way.
Appreciate that, my friend. And, you know, I love it because it's a success. And we're talking about a great success story here today.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So we're looking forward to talking to the man.
Oh, the man. I'm so excited to talk about this because when we take a look at the Philippines as it ramps up its transition towards greener roads, the conversation is rapidly moving to full-size and long-range transportation. While two-wheelers have paved the way, the adoption of four-wheel electric vehicles is now redefining what it means to drive in the country, offering a blend of innovation, luxury, and cost efficiency. Now, for many Filipino car buyers, the concern has always been range anxiety and the feasibility of charging infrastructure. But the entry of global powerhouses is steadily erasing those doubts. Brands like BYD are at the center of this push, proving that switching to an EV doesn't mean compromising on performance or practicality for the everyday family.
From sleek sedans to versatile SUVs, the focus has shifted from just testing the waters to dominating the market share. With sales numbers on the rise and a growing portfolio of accessible models, the question now is, how close are we to seeing electric vehicles become the new standard on Philippine highways? To help us understand the current sales landscape, the challenges of market adoption, and the future of the electric car industry and the country, we are joined today by Bob Palanca, Managing Director of BYD Cars Philippines. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Well, thank you for having me here, Cap. Paolo, it's a pleasure to be here in your show.
Thank you so much for being here. We really are glad that you have come out to join us here. And first of all, congratulations on BYD's growth because it has gone from strength to strength, and it feels like there's a rocket ship behind the success right now of BYD. It's really flying. I want to talk about first and foremost about how opportunity has come about with people now more concerned about fuel prices, the fuel crisis. BYD is typically at top of mind when you come to adopting EVs. Has inquiries increased? Have sales increased for BYD come the fuel crisis that we've seen just a couple of months ago?
I think, thank you for that question, Paolo. During the past couple of years, BYD Cars Philippines has heavily invested in our tech tours and going out to the public, in educating and showing what our vehicles are capable of.
Yeah.
And with this investment that we've made during the past over 2 years, I believe we're now harvesting the hard work that the team has done with customers now engaging us. Not only, even prior to this oil crisis, the interest in new energy vehicles has increased dramatically. And with this fuel crisis, it kind of pushed it a little more further.
And you know, Cap, we were talking about this in the past, how long would it be before electrified vehicles, hybrid vehicles, and new energy vehicles in general start dominating the highway? And I think it's safe to say that it's becoming a more common sight on Philippine highways in general.
That's true. Now, as Bob said, this growth in the new energy vehicle sector or electrified sector has already been in the works even before the Iran war.
Yeah.
So there has been an uptrend already, but I think it's being accelerated right now. So what I'd like to say here is, of course, every challenge brings about opportunities as well. And can you speak to that as well, Bob? No. First off, you are tagging yourselves as the new energy vehicle leader in the country, in the world actually. Can you operationalize that term for people who still may not be familiar to what that actually means? New energy vehicle, what is that?
New energy vehicles actually are all those electrified vehicles that we're currently offering. which is the plug-in hybrids, or what we call the DMI technology, wherein you have a battery backed up with an engine for it to charge, which acts as a generator and a range extender to charge your battery. And next, we have the full battery electric vehicles, or BEVs. No? So now the interest in the market spiked further during this past couple of months because Filipinos want to understand and realize how they can immediately save on fuel.
Yeah.
As you all know, fuel prices now are quite on the
high end.
high prices right now. And compared to electricity, there's a significant gap. And this is the savings a consumer can immediately feel.
Yeah. It's looking at all of this, there have been misconceptions about EVs and new energy vehicles, as the term that you use, for the consumers in general. Range anxiety in particular is one of them. You have had campaigns trying to debunk that. The Southern Luzon Challenge in particular, when taking scenic drives for an incredible length.
Yes.
Trying to show off the fact that range anxiety shouldn't be a thing.
Yes.
Are there any myths that you feel that have been busted by your campaigns in particular, trying to make BYD and new energy vehicles siguro more palatable to the consumers who still have question marks?
Yes. Actually, that's a very good question, Paolo. Just very recently, we conducted a campaign together with the Department of Tourism because we would want Filipinos to be able to drive within the entire country using pure electric vehicles. So we started this campaign, Drive Electric, Love Pinas campaign.
Okay.
Making you drive from the tip of Luzon in a full electric vehicle in Pagudpud, driving all the way down to the other southern tip of Luzon, going to Visayas, then driving all the way to Mindanao, covering 3,500 kilometers in 21 days in a full electric vehicles. Okay, so that's really something. Now, how can one do it? We have AC Mobility as our charging network.
Okay.
In AC Mobility, we have close to 170 charge points, which will make you drive from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao using the Philippine EV spine. So range anxiety is actually a thing of the past, and we were able to prove that.
And you mentioned the infrastructure, 170. And
Yes.
there has been incredible investment already made by AC Mobility.
That's correct.
In terms of yung mga charging stations nila. Future expansion plans, do you have any already in mind when you take a look at how they're trying to even expand further this particular charging network?
AC Mobility will continue to expand and provide as much as we can the EV charging stations. No? But aside from that, no, owning an EV, actually, you shouldn't also be dependent with the charging infrastructure.
Yeah.
The main charge point of your EV should be your home. Because this is where you will realize real savings immediately.
You know, Kap, one thing about this particular industry, in this particular sector, and I'm sure you're very much well aware, napaka-competitive ng segment nila in particular.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I'm sure Bob will agree also. Now, at the current time, we did a study before. We sort of counted how many brands there were in the country.
Yeah.
There are more than 50, and about more than half of those are Chinese brands.
Yes.
And we know that China is leading the push toward new energy vehicles as well, as a country, as an industry. Now, how do you differentiate then, or what's the unique value proposition for BYD? And what do you want consumers to know about BYD? What makes you stand out from the other, your other competitors?
I think the distinct advantage of BYD, everything's made in-house. Your batteries are made by BYD. The technology inside, your motors are made by BYD. Everything is made in-house.
So nothing is jobbed out?
Except for the tires.
Well, yeah. Tires, I think lahat naman nag-job.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, yeah.
So you can say 100% it is made by BYD.
And I think that's very important because when you talk about, some people are worried about the after-sales service, in particular the servicing, the maintenance even, and it feels like that actually streamlines the entire process. When you look at the other myths of owning a new energy vehicle, in particular, some people are really concerned about the battery, whether or not that would actually affect the resale value in the future.
That's true.
And also the number of cycles of a certain battery and whether or not replacing a battery will actually be more cost effective. Throughout the time that BYD has started to expand, has a cost of the batteries actually lessened throughout the years, or can we expect that to actually be less of a fear in the future for those who are now owning BYDs and, of course, potential owners in the future?
The charging cycle of a Blade battery is up to minimum 4,000 charge cycles. If you compute that in your lifespan, that's 4,000 plugs. That's going to take you, 15 years. Now, degradation of battery, again, there are cars in other countries that reached over 300,000 kilometers and still uses the same Blade battery.
The original battery.
The original
battery.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, now that's an important point.
Yes.
And we have a lot more to talk about when we return. Bob, we're going to keep you here. I hope you don't mind we grill you further.
It's okay.
All right, perfect. Because we're going to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back in a moment.
Looking for the perfect escape? Discover Club Nalu, a serene beachfront retreat where stillness meets style. Nestled along the quiet shores of Bacnotan in La Union, Club Nalu is designed for slow mornings, ocean breezes, and moments that help you unwind. From cozy rooms and sun-drenched villas to relaxing spaces inspired by nature. Every corner invites you to pause, breathe, and recharge. Club Nalu, come as you are and leave feeling a little lighter. Book now at clubnalu.ph.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You're still watching Shift Happens. We're still joined by Mr. Bob Palanca, the Managing Director of BYD Cars Philippines. And of course, Cap Aguila here joining me today, my favorite co-host for today.
You're also my favorite today.
I know. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Di na si G. But it's never G naman right? Okay, so of course, Sir Bob, thank you so much still for joining us and being here. I want to talk about the future of this sector in particular because the government will always play a big role when it comes to the regulation, of course, even the incentives for this new energy sector. When we talk about the partnership with the government or working with the government, how has that been like in terms of the incentives, in terms of the push for more EV development? Because there has been a push from the government. Just taking a look at the coding situation, Metro Manila, for example, that has done a big help in encouraging it. How has that partnership been like?
Well, I would say it's been quite good partnership with the government in terms of imposing the VIDA law, which is until 2028, right? Now, we're hoping that, of course, the government would get to extend this and further strengthen the EV adaptation in the Philippines. At the same time, an ask if the government would like to look into how it can support the infrastructure of charging network, aside from the private sector, to further accelerate the shift of electric vehicles in our country.
First of all, thank you for points for you for using Shift.
Absolutely safe. Yeah.
Secondly, aren't there any incentives for people who want to set up the charging infrastructure? Are there like tax breaks of any sort? You're right. I mean, this will further encourage people to set up the charging infrastructure, which we, of course, definitely desperately need.
Yeah.
I think it would be good for the government to take part of it already.
Okay.
Now that you're seeing on the roads a lot of electrified vehicles flying around, no? Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, not only in NCR, it's all over now.
And just looking at it, you mentioned, and we mentioned it all show long, that we're seeing more and more electrified vehicles on the road in general. And some people still ask and wonder. And one of my favorite questions to answer when people ask me about driving I do drive a BYD, that how much do you actually save, or how much do you actually spend on gas? Have you quantified it for customers in general, on average? How much do people actually save by adopting EV or hybrid vehicles from BYD compared to a ICE?
That's a good question. When I get to engage customers like you, Paolo, no? If I were to ask you to look into the different your kilometer range using the EV and the HEV, I'm sure you're going to say 70% EV.
Yeah, actually.
All right, that's 70%. So 10,000 kilometers, you use 7,000 worth of EVs and 3,000 kilometers worth of fuel. Now, that alone, if you compute how much you get to save on a per liter based on even the pre-war fuel prices, that's going to be significant. Because 1 kilowatt is an average of what? 14 pesos? Even if it increases to 16 pesos versus 60 pesos per liter, you see that incremental savings that you will be getting.
Well, Cap, we're also talking about that. It's not just the fuel price, it's also the maintenance. I think because there are less moving parts to manage in a BYD or rather electrified vehicle, new energy vehicle, it also shaves into the cost. And I think that's one of the other good points when talking about these particular vehicles.
Less moving parts mean you replace less parts as well, of course. Bob, and to that point, what's the savings like though for an average PMS, like X percent less than an ICE, for instance?
For let's say a BYD Tang EV, your annual servicing cost would be below 3,000 pesos.
What?
Yes. As compared to a change oil and others, right? So,
I
which
feel
is
like
more than double.
We should have zoomed in on the face of si Cap kasi totoong reaction yan eh. That's an incredible number because when you consider the maintenance in general, minsan, especially down the year, dyan ka natatalo eh.
Yes.
And the Tang is not an entry-level vehicle by any stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination. That's why it's very low.
Very, very low. 3,000 pesos, no?
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, look, BYD, it's no secret. It's growing in terms of success when it comes to the sales, when it comes to even just the visibility in general. And it's just all over, to be quite frank. When we look at the future of BYD Cars Philippines in particular, the next 5 years, the next 10 years, what would success look like for you guys?
Paolo, we're not stopping. We will continue to provide what the Filipino market needs. We listen to the market, we hear them, and we adapt to what they need and introduce product based on the Filipino consumers' wants. That's the reason why we'll be introducing several models in the next couple of months, starting this May. I can say it. It's the BYD Sea Lion 7, which is a performance SUV. Okay, and that's a full electric vehicle.
I got to test that actually the other day.
Oh, really?
Full electric. So those of you who, of course, love the Sea Lion model because of the Sea Lion 6 primarily, well, this is an altogether different experience because it's full electric.
Yeah.
And the acceleration, I was telling Bob earlier, it's just insane.
Yeah. I mean, like you talk about performance of EVs in general, or even plug-in hybrids, and especially from the BYD standpoint, it really is able to compete actually with some ICEs, if not perform better.
That's correct.
Than some of them. When we look at helping educate the Filipino market, it feels like it's a continuous project.
Yes,
it doesn't
it
feel
is.
like we're stopping. What are the ways that BYD is trying to help bridge that gap between being educated when it comes to this particular this particular market, this particular segment of the motoring industry, and of course, what more can we expect from BYD?
Well, to date, Paolo and Cap, BYD has over 81 dealerships in NCR, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. All these are hubs for customers to come in and experience through electrified mobility. We would want customers to experience our cars. We have full demo units on standby in majority of our dealerships, if not all dealerships. No? So you walk in a dealership, we explain to you what BYD can offer, and immediately go behind the wheel and drive it and experience it for yourself.
Yeah, you know what, Cap, the first time I met Sir Bob, he told me that the thing with BYD is that you can explain it all you want, but then you have to experience riding or driving it to actually feel the difference. Is that, I'm not going to take his word for it. I know he's right there. Pero would you agree with that statement?
That's definitely true. I mean, there's only so much, and that applies, I think, for all models of all vehicles. Sometimes we look at the vehicle and, pogi yun na, I think I want that. But if you do not test drive it, then you wouldn't know what it's about. And sometimes, minsan baka hindi ka kasya.
Yeah.
For one thing.
Yeah.
So, like in the case of the
Yeah, we're
C-Line
big
7.
people. Sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Yes.
Tall, not big.
Yes, we're tall people.
Okay, so like in the case of the C-Line 7, may embargo, ano pa ako nag-sign ako. But I guess I can say the impressions, I think it's going to be one of those vehicles in that price point that people will definitely need to take a look at, because I think what BYD wants to project is, and it's applying through its vehicles, is that it's really high on technology, innovation, and basically the experience that will give you a more upmarket feel for what you are paying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir Bob, what have you learned about the Filipino consumer when it comes to electrified vehicles or new energy vehicles in particular? Because we are all infants in terms of being part of this particular segment of the automotive industry. So what have you learned about the Filipino consumer?
There are a lot of doubts about EVs until today, despite the campaigns that we're doing. A lot of questions about range anxiety. They didn't know, a lot of customers didn't know you can just plug it in your home. So we had to explain basic information like that. No? We had to explain that, again, our batteries can be plugged up to 4,000 times. And that's even beyond the life of the vehicle. Fully electric vehicles, driving fully electric vehicles, you need to understand also your routes. You have to change the way you drive. If you were driving a traditional vehicle, you can go from point A to point B to point B to point C to point D. This time you have to plan. You have to understand how many kilometers am I going to run today. A lot of our customers, we didn't realize that they only consume like 40 kilometers tops on a daily basis. That's Quezon City, Parañaque, Quezon City route.
Yeah.
Okay. But a lot of customers also just live within Makati and just consume 10, 15 kilometers on a daily basis. And then, we started talking about what range anxiety are you saying? You do not and will not have range anxiety because of the short distances and the capacity of the batteries that we have, even for our DMI, or what we call the plug-in hybrid vehicles, which can give you up to 100 kilometers of range on a daily basis. So we're continuously learning. That's the reason why we encourage customers to visit any of our dealerships, test drive our vehicles, and compare it with others so that they will get to realize the advantages of BYD.
And Cap, just looking at that statement, I think it's fair to say, as someone who actually does drive a hybrid right now or a DMI, you become more aware of the kilometers you actually spend on the road when you drive from point A to point B. Kasi nakita mo yung the indicator of the battery percentage, and you think of how far have I gone.
Correct.
do you feel that that could actually help change yung mindset ng mga Pinoy to be more mindful about the way that they drive, simply because it feels more interactive in a way?
That's correct. And I think that also ties into what Bob said about you really have to, there's sort of a behavioral change as well. No?
Yeah.
You become more mindful, as you put it. And also, right now, if for ICE drivers, actually, or those who drive ICE cars, there's also behavioral change right now. We're being very mindful also of how we drive, because we're always looking at that fuel needle, right?
We're checking it more.
So now we actually have fuel anxiety.
That is true. That is true. All right. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. Sa totoo lang, I want this to be a 2-hour-long podcast.
Tara, extend tayo. Kaya ba?
Kaya ba natin, G?
Extend tayo.
Sabi daw ni G, hindi daw pwede. Kasalanan natin ni G lahat ng masama na nangyayari dito.
Dang it.
But all joking aside, we'd like to thank Mr. Bob Palanca for being here. He is the Managing Director of BYD Cars Philippines. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Paolo and Cap, for having me. Let's do this again.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Mamaya.
Tignan natin, mag-extend tayo. All right, Cap, take it away.
And that concludes our roundup of the stories driving the industry forward. I'm Cap Maceda Aguila.
Ako po si Paolo del Rosario. Join us again tomorrow on Shift Happens, your fast-track guide to everything on the move.